Yeah, I mean, sure. I mean, as we've already heard, essentially, Thiam was seen as, to some degree, the saviour. It's not a great time to be a CEO of a bank, full stop. It's definitely not a good time to be the CEO of a European bank. And when you throw in the fact that essentially they've had to rip up the original business model, restructure the bank, try and source profits in a more stable but a completely different way at a time where we've seen other major banks trying something similar and failing spectacularly, markets had been forgiving and actually had been very sort of positive about the successes that Thiam had had in that process to this point. So from an investor's perspective, when your investment thesis may well be as much about the personality involved as it is about the institution itself, to see this news this morning is obviously a disappointment, a shock, and something that you're likely to see a response to, and we've seen that already. Again, as you've already raised, now the question is, what's the leadership structure going forward? And if there has been some evidence that where we thought previously this knowledge hadn't filtered up to that board level, maybe it has, why is it that the chairman is still in place?
One of the speculative stories doing the rounds in Zurich over recent months has been, will Credit Suisse spin out the Swiss Universal Bank? Perhaps an IPO, perhaps a divestment of the business in some way, because the problem, the infighting that's been going on within the management team has been about whether the focus should be on growth in that business or whether it's Tijdane Thiam's strategy of trying to grow Asia Pac and the global growth story. And perhaps one of the problems he's had is that even as he's moved to that strategy, Asia Pac and the global growth story have not moved to meet him, and that's where the bank has underwhelmed. James, do you think would there be any value at this point of the management over there saying at the announcement of earnings on Thursday of next week, you know what, we are going to start investigating the spinning out of the domestic business to realise value?
It's a really interesting one, right? Because I started my career at an asset manager within a bank, and at the time, the targets for return on equity across the institution were 25%, and asset management can't produce that. It might produce 10 if you're lucky. And essentially, there was a view that you should concentrate on core businesses that could produce numbers of that magnitude. Asset management wasn't one, and we were sold on. And it seems to me that there is an echo here whereby you're clouded by the status quo, the zeitgeist, or the recent past, without remembering that actually the reason that these sort of super banks, one-stop shops, bulge bracket banks emerged with many different strings to their bow is because it should be more robust through not just one cycle but through multiple cycles. So yes, there are some advantages to being smaller, more boutique and more focused in terms of your activities, but I would be somewhat concerned that you're essentially making quite a large wager on quite a narrow profitable future, if you like. And if that's serving wealthy people in Asia, that's great if Asia is doing well, but what happens if there is something which affects Asia and only Asia? Is your business as robust? Is it as able to withstand the volatility? So maybe that's something that the strategy that the board would be looking at today. My concern would be that you need to consider what happens 5, 10, 15 and 20 years hence, not what's going to be happening in the next 12 to 18 months.
Hi, I'm Joanna Bersecci and thank you for watching. You can check out more of our videos by clicking on the boxes on the screen. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more from CNBC International. Thank you for watching.